2021. The first thing on the agenda is open forum. Members from the commission have any?
Remind everybody of it. I'm sorry.
Sycamore and Cypress. Somehow it fell off the list again.
Yep.
We put it on there and nail it down in bold letters.
Discussion.
Yeah, as a discussion item.
This is three trees, three mature oaks were cut from a real small strip of conservation land, and we didn't know anything about it until after the fact, and then we're trying to get something to replace them, whether it's trees or shrubs or something on that property. But it's been now since May or June, I think,
Right.
that they did the cutting.
We'll put it back on. I missed it because he was on vacation last week. So.
Oh, all right. If we have a template or something, we just put it on the template and we'll keep it there until we get something planted. Yep. Right.
I was just going to mention that we have the town meeting on Saturday. Remind everybody to come, please, so that we can move money, so we can function.
At 1 o'clock at
Yes.
Westford Academy
That's
Field.
correct. And it should run about 2 hours.
Anybody else? Matt?
Marilyn stole mine, so
That's it?
I was like,
Anyone from the audience have anything for him? Okay, seeing none. We're going to move on to our 7:30, which is a continuation of public hearing and issue order of conditions for Gold Award candidate Ching from the Active Silver Trail. Come on up. So did you have a chance to look over the order of conditions?
Yeah.
You good with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm good with them, too.
Okay, motion to approve the order? You did.
Yeah, in the findings, I'd like to add, we had a very brief discussion about the property ownership, because remember this bridge was right on the lines between Westford Conservation
Yeah.
Trust-owned property
Yeah.
and Town of Westford Conservation Commission-owned property. So I propose something like, this bridge will be located on town/conservation property and Westford Conservation Trust property. The applicant has received permission from both owners to construct the bridge in the indicated location, or something like that. So we asked, and that's how it was replied back, that he's already spoken with Dave Ebbetson from Conservation Trust and got the okay from them.
Okay. That okay with you? Okay, because I know you did that.
Okay.
All right.
You want, Matt, you want these words?
yeah, I'll take those things.
Okay, any other comments from the commission? Can I have a motion to approve as amended?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're good to go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to move on to our other 7:30, which is the public hearing for Gilmore 2 Daniel Drive, 334-1777.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, at 7:30 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, on the Notice of Intent application of Eric Gilmore for construction of an 18 by 26 foot addition to an existing dwelling within 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland and within 200 feet of a perennial stream at 2 Daniel Drive.
All right. Good evening. For the record, Jim Seal, Goldsmith, Preston, Ringwall. This is the homeowner, Raymond LaRoe. On behalf of the owner and applicant, we prepared a notice of intent for the construction of the dwelling addition at 2 Daniel Drive. The lot was originally permitted under the an order of conditions in 1989, along with the subdivision. Currently, the lot is a mix of landscape lawn and wooded brush area along the rear of the property. A single-family dwelling with an associated driveway, deck, patio in the rear of the house, and a shed and pool on the property as well. Running through the property is a bordering vegetated wetland, which was delineated by Matthew S. Morrow Environmental in May of this year. This wetland projects the buffer, which encompasses nearly the entire property. West of the property is Reed Brook, which projects the riverfront area that encompasses the entire property. Originally, the homeowner wanted to construct the addition on the side of the driveway. This would have required the creation of additional impervious area for the driveway in order to provide adequate access into the garage and proposed addition. So in order to pull the addition further away from the resource areas, it's being proposed on the opposite side of the house now. In addition to the proposed dwelling addition, the homeowner would also like to extend the deck along with to the end of the 18 by 26 addition. This is a 2-story addition. The work proposed is within previously disturbed land that is within the buffer zone of the wetland and the riverfront area. As I just said, the previously disturbed area is just landscape lawn, so it's a conversion of the landscape lawn to the addition and the deck. There's no further encroachment proposed with the construction and no tree clearing. We have received a file number from the state for the DEP. They did not have any comments for us, but if there's any questions or comments from the addition commission, I'd be more than happy to try to address them.
Jim?
You said it would include some expansion of a deck? There's
Yes,
nothing on here marked as a deck.
It's not, yeah, we only recently learned that they would like to, if it's at all possible, we would like to propose the deck, which is. would be at the
Matt,
set-
could you give him the pointer and you could show us where this deck is and propose?
Oh, yes, so it's the orange button, don't even hit your eyes.
I'll try not to hit anyone. All right, coming down. So the deck is within the patio area, which is kind of faded back, but
Yeah.
it will kind of continue to the edge of the proposed addition. So I believe it's around 210 square feet of additional deck. That would be on the second story though, so the only alteration to the grass would just be the whatever sonotube footings are required for the deck. The patio wouldn't be extended as part of this work.
With,
Well, how close is it gonna be to the wetlands? You know, we have a 30-foot no disturb on. Previously,
So it would be at its closest, I believe, 23 feet if there is a
We don't do that.
30-foot no disturb. That can be taken in a little bit to meet that 30-foot or stopped.
it's gonna have to be, so.
All right. And we can definitely look at what would accommodate that 30-foot no disturb.
and with the half of the proposed addition inside the 50-foot limit of work, what are you proposing for mitigation with that?
If there's anything that you might be able to suggest,
You're not proposing anything?
we can, there's, on the existing dwelling, there are gutters. We can definitely do gutters on the addition as well, that,
And where would the runoff go? I was thinking things like, you know, some kind of a French drain around the back part of that new proposed addition,
if,
so that all runoff is captured and infiltrates.
if something like that, or some sort of stone pit or dry well to collect that,
To collect it all and keep it in the ground?
that can definitely be something that we add to the plan.
And the new, any deck that you're proposing, if there's any modifications to it, it's permeable? It's raised up so any rain can fall through,
Yes,
will fall
yes,
through
so
it? and-
we're not, creating really any impervious like below the deck, it would just be
Okay.
whatever the footings are.
When was this house built? Because that existing patio is awful close to the well.
Yeah.
I believe in 1989 is when.
1989.
89, just before the regs went in? Okay. Margaret?
Yeah, now, if I'm reading this plan correctly, the addition is within the inner riparian zone. Matt, are there any constraints about, I'm thinking, it's been a while since we've looked at development within the inner riparian zone. Are there any constraints about impervious surfaces?
So it needs to meet the performance standards as a lot that was in existence prior to, I think it's August 96. One of them is the 5,000 square feet of I think it's 10% I think since this entire lot is within the riverfront area, I think it's 5,000 square feet of developed area. And then the other, I think the other performance standards I had checked, and I can certainly have those for the commission to review, or include them in the packet for the commission to familiarize themselves with for the next meeting.
So you're saying that this is a small enough conversion to impervious surface in the inner riparian zone that it doesn't meet some of those thresholds?
I think the entirety of the
Oh,
property.
because it's less than a certain percentage of the area in the riverfront?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But it might be exempt because the house is built in 1980. Otherwise, they'd have to do an alternative analysis.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Right,
I
right,
just, it's been a long time since we've seen
Yeah.
stuff,
right.
so.
Okay.
If I could also address that. Since it's already a disturbed lawn area, that's kind of where we're coming from, that it's the conversion from a disturbed area to a disturbed area. So our, reading of it is that we're
Yeah,
within
but what
that.
we're also looking at is, for example, the town has just implemented all of the stormwater stuff. And so one of the things the town is taking very seriously is converting pervious surface to impervious surface and the impacts that that has. So that's one of the things that we look at as well. Is yes, it's previously disturbed, but it was disturbed area where water could infiltrate into the ground and now it can't. Which is where I think Jim, with the, making sure the water is captured and allowed to infiltrate.
Any other comments from the commission? Comments from the audience on this application? Okay, seeing none, so you're gonna have to give us a revised plan with showing us that patio. Make sure it's
The deck, yes.
The deck, make sure it's outside of 30 feet.
Right.
Okay, the sonotubes. I mean, you can cantilever, but the sonotube itself has gotta be within,
Okay.
outside of 30 foot.
Yep.
Okay.
And drainage, how it's
And the
going to
drainage,
be
he'll put
handled.
that, you
Yep.
can put that on there too.
Yep.
Okay.
So would you like me to draft an order of conditions for the next meeting?
You can, as long as you get the,
Yep, as long as we get
the
everything.
plans.
Yep.
Revised plan.
Sorry, when is the next meeting, just so I can?
That's the 27th.
27, I think.
2 weeks.
We're going to continue this to the 27th meeting. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you good to go?
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is a public hearing for Gilmore 2 Daniel Drive. Excuse me, continued public hearing for Gibbons, 53 Elm Street.
Oh,
I'm just getting rid of
that was something to sign.
Good evening. Mark Slager from Allen Engineering, here on behalf of the Gibbonses. With me is Dan Doherty. We have submitted a revised plan, as discussed at the last meeting, showing a smaller house footprint. We replaced the 6-inch tall berm with a landscape strip and extended that all the way down. Pretty much, that's about it for the modifications. We did, yes?
it. So you reduced the total impervious is only going up by 80 feet, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, this is
85
much-
square
this is much
feet.
better, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest change was we went from a 2-car garage to a 1-car garage, which reduced the width of the driveway.
Okay, great. Tiger?
Yeah, it just, so there was the 6-inch berm along the property line and then part of the lakefront. Was it along the property line to keep water or to keep runoff on site?
Yes.
And you're saying that the landscape, the 2-foot wide landscape will accomplish the same purpose?
Yeah, it'll have a slight rise in it as well.
Okay.
The proposed 2-foot wide crushed stone drip edge, there's no details for that at all. Is that 2 foot wide and 2 foot deep also?
Oh, it's gonna be probably 6 feet deep.
Oh, good.
Because it's gonna be crushed stone all the way underneath the house.
Yeah, remember when they're doing this, they're digging out the whole thing's
Okay,
being dug.
if you could put information about that, so it has the capacity to collect the roof runoff. And then, you're not proposing, let's see, it says C note 3 in the proposed vegetated buffer between the lake and the property. And the note 3 just says something to be approved ahead of time.
Right. We received a draft order, and in the draft order, one of the conditions requires that the plant species be presented to the commission or its agent prior to issuance of a building permit.
Okay, you don't want to set it up before you get to that stage, or just the sooner the better, right?
Right, before the building permit's
Okay.
issued, so.
Okay.
Any other
Does the
questions?
building permit include the demolition?
No, those are separate permits.
Okay, so it's only need for the building, not the demolition. Okay.
More questions?
Nope.
Questions from the audience in this application?
Just want to deal with the.
You have a draft order?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead.
On the draft order, we have a standard condition number 46 where no work is allowed between December 1st and April 1st.
Yep.
Can we make that request now to
In
do the
writing?
work, especially where we have a lot of excavation to do, and it'd be best to do that while the lake is drawn down, drawn out on the groundwater.
You can do that now, but you need to be explicit what you want to do
Okay.
You have to do it in writing.
in writing.
All right, so we'll submit it in writing. I think we have a little bit of time between now and December 1st.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, right. That was, I was like,
right.
we're changing this, or where we, when do we, what are we moving the dates
Okay.
to?
That makes sense.
Yeah, that works for me.
Any other comments or changes from the commission on this draft order?
Just one question for you. You've been sending these revised plans to the state as well?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to check.
Yeah, but I can't move it.
Okay, motion to approve the order of conditions.
So moved. Hello.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you good. Motion to close the public
So
hearing.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're good. You're good.
Thank you.
I'm using paper.
Okay.
We're going to move on to our 740,
I need a little tutorial.
750. Got a few minutes.
Do you want to do the conservation restriction?
Yeah.
Mr. Bernard, if you'd like to come up and.
From the Conservation Trust. What we're looking to do at 1 Leland Road, there's 6.6 acres that you see right there. We're looking to put a conservation easement on the 5 acres, the horseshoe, around the house and the 4 barns. Now, this property abuts the Frost Field in the left-hand corner there that abuts the land behind Road and Bush. And it's just a beautiful piece of land, and we're seeking to protect it. So before I talk about the conservation elements of it, I think it's very important to talk about the historic significance of this property, because it goes back to the Oranges in Westford. This is part of the homestead of Joseph Underwood, who came to then Chelmsford to create his homestead. And his homestead went all the way from Tadmouth Road all the way up to Westford Center, okay? In 1728, he was sent by the soon-to-be town of Westford to the general court, actually established the town of Westford. So that's how important the land is where I'm sitting on. In 1745, he sold the town common to the land, to the town as a militia field. And in 1775, his son, Captain Timothy Underwood, fought at the Battle of the North Bridge. So we're sitting on a very important piece of land. The current house that you see at 1 Leland Road, which is right around the corner, was built in 1846 by a Mr. David Whitney. That was a prominent family in town. Oscar Spaulding lived there from 1841 to 1867 to 1941, and he worked a 30-acre apple orchard there. Plus, he had extensive land holdings all over Westford, Millstone, around East Boston camps. He owned everything east of Tadmouth, all the way into Chelmsford. Big, big landowner. and he was a prominent citizen in town. He actually attended the dedication of the Civil War monument right here with the governor of Massachusetts at that time. And when he passed away, most of the 31 acres were sold to Ben Drew, the Apple guy, who subsequently sold it to developers. So what remains is the 6.6 acres that we're sitting on right now. Okay? So my family's been in that house since 1963. My mother and father lived together there until 1976 when my father died, and my mother stayed there as a widow until 2012. Judy and I bought the house from the estate with full support of my siblings. And our dream was to save the property because it would have been chopped up immediately, obviously. So Judy and I made the decision to buy it. It needed a ton of work, and we basically invested the entire proceeds of the house we sold in Cold Spring to fix it up, in addition to buying the house. So we restored the house. Now we're talking about the next step of saving the property. So let's talk about the conservation values. It's a scenic property. If you're going down the hill, the sunrise coming up from the east, it's absolutely exquisite. It abuts Frost Field, abuts Rodenbush, beautiful open space. We have, a meadow. We have mixed forest lands. It's absolutely beautiful. It's full of wildlife. And just in the last 3 months, I've seen bear, bobcats, foxes, coyotes, deer, all kinds of wildlife. It's beautiful pollinator habitat. We have all kinds of milkweed, monarch butterflies. It's just gorgeous as you're walking down the hill. We're next to other Westford Conservation Trust properties, including a big one right down Leland Road on the right, 15 acres down there, that was set up by Red Chapin years ago. And we want to protect it. It's part of really a necklace of chunks of land around Westford Center that allows animals to go around. If you go to the bottom left-hand corner of our property, there's literally a path where the deer go through from behind the town hall there, through our property and down the hill over to the conservation land. So you can actually follow the animals around, especially when it's wintertime. It's fantastic tracking. We're reserving the right for agricultural work and forestry work. The property was always an apple property when I was growing up. It kind of went to pot when nobody wanted to do that work anymore. Now it's a big meadow and some limited forest land. But we're reserving the rights to do some agricultural work if we want to, or some forestry work. The key thing is no development. That's the key. Now we have parties to the conservation agreement. I, as the trustee of the Bernard Pelican Trust, would be the grantor. The grantee would be the Westford Conservation Trust, and I've been working with Mr. Ebbetson on that. We're seeking approval from the Town of Westford Select Board. And we're also seeking approval from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, who we're working with right now. So our next steps, James is managing the whole CR process for us and preparing a baseline document. For our conservation agreement, we're using the base Commonwealth of Massachusetts agreement to make it simple and easy. The Westford Conservation Trust, Mr. Ebbetson, has reviewed and commented on the restriction. The Massachusetts EEA has reviewed and commented, and right now it's with the lawyers. It's a final review with the lawyers, so we're in a very good position. We're currently conducting a natural resource inventory report to document all the vegetation and wildlife on the property. We've engaged a surveyor to mark out the premises part of the property, the middle, the house and the barns, versus the horseshoe. So that's going to start soon. And tonight we're asking for a recommendation from the committee to the select board to approve the CR. Just a few final points. My parents used to refer to 1 Leland Road as Le Paradis Terrestre. I'm of French-Canadian descent. French was their first language. And, when Judy and I moved in, I was trying to figure, what am I going to call this place now that it's ours? And it to me what my mother used to call it all the time. So I actually built a sign and put it on the barn. But it really is a beautiful place, and we feel very blessed to be there. You know, I'm 61 years old. I've taken care of that property since I was a young boy. I mean, there's a lot of work over there. Imagine doing that work with a 20-inch we could afford after my father died. So I was a young kid, and it's kind of like my alter ego over there. Even for the 25 years that I didn't live there, I took care of the property. So I'm very committed to that property. Now we're taking this very important next step. And by executing this conservation restriction, I'm ensuring that the historic and beautiful property is preserved for Westford generations. This actually, approval of this and this happening is really a dream come true for us as a family. We want to make sure that this happens. So that's our request. Did I miss anything, James?
I don't think so.
Okay, sounds great.
So, just in terms of process on,
Yeah.
where the commission isn't going to be party to the conservation restriction, it is recommended on the CR submission form that is prepared by the state, recommended that the Conservation Commission provide its certification using the form below. EEA recommends a step to assist in demonstrating the public benefit afforded by the conservation restriction. I've prepared that and included the public interest as listed below. It is important wetland and upland habitat for numerous indigenous and migrant wildlife. The protection of water resources, including riparian woodlands and bordering vegetated wetlands. Wildlife corridor connectivity to town-owned parcels and open space. And the protection of historic homestead, including pasture and forest. So,
Need to sign that?
yes, so if the
Yeah, we
commission
need a
votes to
motion.
endorse.
To endorse this recommendation of the
So
Board of
moved.
Selectmen?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll send that around.
Yeah.
I will make sure you get a hard copy and a scan as well.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for getting this.
Come true for the family.
Yeah, well, it's a nice gift for Westford.
I knew I wasn't gonna need to say much. Good job.
Thank you.
Do we have a file number on this?
It's an RDA.
Smash this thing.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to our 7:50 agenda item, which is a public hearing for Patel, 108 Providence Road. This is a request for determination.
Under Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, at 7:50 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, on the request for determination of applicability application of Kunal Patel for construction of a 37 by 8 foot farmer's porch within 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland at 108 Providence Road.
Good evening. My name is Kunal Patel, and I'm the owner of 108 Providence Road, Westford. I'm here to seek some, approval from you guys to
Can
see
you
if,
talk in the
if I
mic a
can.
little?
Sorry.
Can you talk in the mic?
How about
I
now?
can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Better.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Apology. So I am building a 37 by 8 feet farmer's porch in front, and I believe that land falls within 100 feet of wetlands according to Massachusetts. So I think we just need to see, what we can do about it.
So how close is it to the wetland? The edge of it?
So
Actually, it goes right in the middle, I think, right?
Could we put up, the best map we've
Yeah.
got, because
It didn't come through.
when I got in hard.
Well, there is no plan that shows the porch and the closest,
All right, I
the
couldn't
porch, the wetlands
so
and the
this-
closest
I couldn't even
distance.
tell that, because the copy is so poor that.
Right, so this came in as a building permit initially, and then by the time it made it to my desk, in reviewing, found that it was within, that there was an order of conditions issued for the construction of this structure. And so we have an as-built septic system, and was using the as-built for the plan, and it is outside, this is the as-built.
My problem was I just couldn't read it.
Yep. I think it's outside 75 feet. I remember it being around 80.
Couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Well, and just some of this is because we're gonna create a file, we really need a plan that's clear and readable.
Yep.
You know, I don't, you know, if the distance is that great, then I don't have any concerns with it. I just want, you know, a plan that shows very clearly what we've approved.
Yep.
So it looks like that outside line is the 100 foot.
Yes, 100 foot's here.
So we just need to get things labeled.
Yep.
In
And,
an approximate
and the
distance.
distance? Okay.
Yeah.
That's all, yeah.
There's a lot of text on there, but it's not readable, so I don't know if it's relevant or not.
Mhm.
Like, none of this, I don't know what any of that is. It's just like some words over here, I don't know what that is, existing something.
I think that's the existing driveway, but I can certainly, and for the other lot.
The other lot's not-
And again, that was what, you know, in reviewing these two lots were, when these two lots were developed, this is the as-built for that. So I can certainly annotate this, get a better scan for the
Okay,
commission.
that's
So
fine.
the farm is, it's on sonotubes? It's on sonotubes, the porch? Yeah. It's just
Okay,
on
it's
sonotubes.
no issue.
So we can approve this, but he's got to get revised plan with all.
Yep.
the numbers on it.
Slide on me or to get a better idea?
I can work, I'll
We'll
work,
with you on
yeah,
that.
I'll work
Okay,
with
we
you on
just
the
need it
next
for the
couple.
file.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I assume it's fairly flat there, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's, and,
So, yeah, so we can approve this with the condition that he gets you the
Okay.
revised plans for the file, okay?
So moved,
So can I have this as a negative determination?
yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain from it. I can't read it. I can't.
Okay. I'll vote for you.
Okay, you're all set. Motion to close the public
So
hearing.
moved.
Thank you very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I'll be
Get
here
that,
tomorrow.
get that plan done for the record, okay?
Yep.
Okay, we're moving on to our next public hearing, which is for Sullivan, 12 Teresa Way, 3341778.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, at 7:55 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, on a notice of intent application of David Sullivan for construction of a 30 by 50-foot game court and associated grading within 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland at 12 and Teresa Way.
Good evening. Matt Waterman, Land Tech Consultants. Here with me is Dave Sullivan. Oh. We're here tonight for Mass DEP file number 3341712, Anna Teresa Way. On the screen is the lot in its entirety. It's at the end of Anna Teresa Way. It's the very last lot on your left. There's an additional house at the end that's side. You can see the driveway kind of in the middle, extending straight out from Anna Teresa. David's house is in the upper left corner on our plan. There's a driveway that services, it's a right-hand side, drive under, side load driveway. The septic is out front. There's a pool area in the backyard with a brick patio. And then and it's here tonight for a proposed athletic court on the far right-hand side, 30 by 50. The wetlands are on the opposite side of the paved driveway for the adjacent lot, which is shown as lot number 6 down in the bottom lower right-hand corner. So when Anna Teresa Way was approved and built, 100 foot through the athletic court on the lot. We did get a variance to reduce the rear setback from 30 feet to 10 feet. And you can see the zoning setback line, or the building envelope, mimics the property lines. It's 50 feet on the front, 30 feet on the right, or on the rear, and 15 on the sides. I bring it up just in that when we were working with the Board of Appeals, and I know that's not necessarily a conservation issue, But we were working with the Board of Appeals at the time and trying to balance your goals and objectives and working with them because they were asking us, well, why can't you put it into a conforming part of the lot that does not require a variance to reduce a setback? We told them about your setbacks, and so what we did, and we had abutters for lot 6, which is 14 Anna Teresa Way. Their preference was to push that away from their house as much as possible. So we were trying to balance between granting the variance and obviously complying with your regulations. So we did push it so that it complies with your 55-foot no structure regulation or policy. And so we pushed it back and we asked for that rear setback. David had talked to his butters. Those houses are further away on Sleigh Road, and there was less of an issue or an impact to their property. And so that's why I bring up the Board of Appeals information. There is a culvert underneath the driveway, that kind of stone riprap, kind of a long skinny thing in the middle of where the athletic court is.
The pointer's right next to it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, I have a pointer.
The orange button.
Yeah, orange in the middle.
So the stone riprap, there's a culvert that was approved, that was shown on the subdivision plans for this driveway. There wasn't any drainage associated with it, formal drainage calculations, but the intent was obviously there's runoff that comes down, and it comes down through this 219 and then flows into the wetlands. So the culvert was there to maintain kind of the existing flow paths. It was drawn up with just your standard riprap on the inlet and outlet side of the culvert, and when the builder put it in, he extended kind of a stone wicking trench. It was kind of a field change, but I think he was it was just to help promote infiltration. I mean, he obviously it's a low spot. He doesn't want ponding for his future homeowners, David. And so instead of just having the standard kind of riprap inlet, there was a stone wicking trench or infiltration trench that was installed. We tried to maintain that. We didn't disturb that. That was another reason for pushing it back. There's a well right here in the corner. So we were trying to maintain and stay away from that. But we do, it will be a paved court. It's an existing lawn area. It does include a small infiltration trench on the wetland side to help promote infiltration from the athletic court. And then there's some planting and screenings which were approved as part of the Board of Appeals variance. And actually the location of the shed was to help screen things to the south and east for number 14 Anna Teresa Way. David's here with me tonight. We'll be happy to answer any questions. I know DEP issued a letter, and I didn't see any comments from them as well.
We have a butter letter that we just got at the last minute.
Yes, there is, but yeah, we'll get to it. Jim?
In that butter letter, they included a couple of pictures of, looked like some flooded grassy area, but it didn't indicate where. Are you familiar with the pictures?
Yeah, and I assume it would look like, I think it's this general area and through here, either
Taken like from their driveway?
as they're driving up the driveway, it's in this area here and off to the right is my.
Yeah.
And will your graded game court and that infiltration perimeter drain prevent any additional water from the riprap area?
I mean, we were trying to mimic the contours as much as possible. So there's a 219 that kind of wraps around and through here, and then obviously it's less than 219 as you get closer to the culvert.
Right.
So we have it at 218.85 and then 219.15. So
A very
a
gentle slope.
1% slope,
Right.
and we were trying to mimic the contours as much as possible to minimize impacts, minimize the cost. I think when the ponding water is there, which I think is what the builder, obviously when he put in the infiltration trench, it does sit there for about a day, maybe two, and then it dissipates. I don't think it's a big issue.
Is there any flow at all that goes through that culvert?
There is some flow, yes.
There is? Okay.
Will the drain in your game court collect all the water runoff from the game court?
We didn't size it. We just kind of did a best management practice of 2 feet wide by 50 feet long. Probably not the 100-year storm, but I could check. I'm sure it's probably more like the 10-year storm or something to that effect. Those infiltration trenches get you a lot, but not enough usually. But it will capture and infiltrate.
Yeah, but the question here is, if you get a 100-year storm, how much is that gonna contribute flowing through that culvert into the
Yeah,
wetland?
into the neighbor's.
It's on the neighbor's property, I assume, or that wetland.
Right.
And as we've seen, 100-year storms come a little bit more frequently than
Oh,
that.
Right,
obviously.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, we can certainly extend the infiltration trench and either make it wider.
Wider or deeper or both, right?
Wider or
Yeah,
deeper? or
well,
both?
yes.
The
And
goal,
or
the goal
extend it
here
on
would
the
be not
side.
to increase any flow going to that wetland on the
Right.
neighbor's property.
And not to affect those
And it's
neighbors.
easiest to do it now rather than try and retrofit it.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah, no, and I think that's easy enough to address.
okay. Okay, any other comments on this? That's the main issue here is the, comments from the audience on this application. Yeah, come on up and just identify yourself and, sure, absolutely. We welcome all comments.
My name is Danielle DiRuggiero, and I live at 14 Ann Teresa Way, the house that was described a few minutes ago, and this is my husband Gerard. We submitted a letter explaining some of our concerns. Our number one concern being that wetland setback was established to be 100 feet for a reason, to ensure that the water flows properly and that there's no buildup of water, et cetera. Since the homeowner at 12 Ann Teresa Way began to place a basketball court there prior to getting permitted, there is now the beginning stages of a basketball court. And since then, with good rain and the pictures that we sent, you can see already that water is building up a lot in that area. And so that is really our concern, is with the flow of water and that permanent structure there, where there's no true permanent structure right now. It could cause potential more damage in that area, as well as flooding to our property.
Well, that's our concern also, and that's why we're gonna make him have it so that infiltration trench will catch all the water coming off the court. And so it won't increase the flow going through that culvert into the wetland on your property.
In the worst
So
rain.
he's got to come back with the calculations to show us that it'll work with a 100-year storm.
Could you point out for us where those pictures were that you sent us, where they were taken from and what they were taken of? Like, were you on your
The
driveway taking the
yellow-
pictures? or-
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not really good at
There's a-
looking at pictures like that, but
There's a pointer on the corner of the desk that you can,
Yeah.
yes, if you could,
It's the orange
the
one.
areas that the
Orange
pictures represent.
Where you
okay,
think the water
is
would
this my
be.
driveway right here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So the pictures that we sent of you, because this is the proposed basketball court, correct?
Yes.
So the basketball court now that began is probably, well, here's the shed, right?
No, the shed is in.
Moved, right. The shed right now is here. So I think right now the basketball court is like right in this area here, okay? And the pictures that we took were from our driveway here.
No, your driveway's the slightly,
This is your driveway here.
Oh, sorry, here.
Yeah.
Yep. So the pictures that we took were from our driveway here.
Aiming towards the proposed court?
Exactly, aiming towards this area right here. As well as if you see the pictures, where's the, oh, right here, the drainage.
Yes, the drainage.
Yeah, so the other picture we took was probably just around right here, because you can see all of the water that's built up all in this area here.
Those are the low areas,
Yeah.
219 feet
The 219.
elevation.
yeah.
Okay.
Is that correct, Gerard? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Well, he's gonna come back with a new plan for that trench and with some, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and they are correct. There is an area, this all started with some clearing. I believe it's off in this area where there's an existing gravel bed where work was started, and then the building inspector got involved, and there was a stop work order. We went to the Board of Appeals, we're here tonight. But there is an existing gravel area. And talking to Dave, we can certainly remove that, allow it to naturalize. You know, we don't have any issues with that. It's in an area that I think would help alleviate, you know, it does need to be maintained lawn area, so we can establish that on the plan as well.
Okay, that'll be
In
great.
addition.
And whether we pull the shed a little bit closer and make sure that because we have the location of the gravel bed, I don't think it's on this plan, but we can make sure that, because that will obviously all be coming out, and then it'll be restored to allow it to
Show
return
us.
to a natural
You
state.
have to show us that they won't be affected by
Yes.
that kind of runoff in 100 years.
Correct. And then we'll do that as well, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to continue this to our October 27th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to our next agenda item at 8:05, which is a public hearing for Mooncake, 73 Endmoor Road, 3341776.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, at 8:05 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, on the notice of intent application of Tommy Munkai for removal of the existing dwelling, patio, and septic system, and construction of a new dwelling and septic system with associated patio, utilities, grading, and landscaping within 100 feet of Namnasset Lake at 73 Endmoor Road. Hi, Dan.
Good evening. Jeff Hannaford and Dan Doherty here representing the owners at 73 Endmoor. The property is developed with an existing single-family home currently. This is an area of Endmoor towards the very end of Endmoor. I think there's only 2 houses beyond here. And it's also one of those areas where the house sits up quite a bit vertically from the lake. And with that, there's a significant slope to the rear. From the front, there's a garage under currently. The proposed house would be the same type of setup. Garage under with a walkout basement.
There isn't a garage under there now.
Hmm?
That was filled in.
Oh, it was filled in, sorry. At any rate, it's a situation where the front right is higher than the front left. There's an existing retaining wall that contains the grade on the front right, which is higher than the driveway itself. The proposed house will be a similar situation. The retaining wall will be replaced. A new septic system will be going in the front. A filing for that will be forthcoming when it's ready. The main reason for tonight's meeting is for the concept of the dwelling and the demolition of the existing dwelling. At this point in the calendar year, we wouldn't expect any new construction to begin until next spring. So right now we're showing the proposed dwelling so you can see where it is. The rear of the dwelling will be where the existing dwelling is, won't be any closer to the lake. The concept of the house is a little different than some you may see. Because of the topography, like I said, it'd be walkout basement in the rear, garage under in the front. A portion of the basement will be utilized for what you would typically see on a second story, which would be 2 bedrooms. The main floor above the garage and basement will be the only other living space. So from the street, you'll see a garage under. The right side of the front facing the street will be a single story. One of the occupants has a disability issue. So this house is being designed with an elevator from the basement or garage level up to the first level. That will afford her the ability to have the first floor for their entire living space. So there won't be any conventional second story to this house. We were careful to place it such that the rear of the house is where the existing is. There's an existing patio and stairway back there now, down to the water. Dan can tell you a little bit more how they're going to tie into that. But basically, we wanted you to see this. Like I said, we will be back for more detail when the septic design is done and we know what we're going to do with the retaining walls in the front, and a much more detailed landscape design for the rear.
So, this plan's kind of busy. I mean, generally you'd like to see a separate plan with the existing and then a separate plan with the proposed, with all the distances put in there. So the next time you come back, we'll do that first, Jeff.
Sure.
So the existing house right now is 19.6 feet from the water. Is that how I'm reading that? That 19.6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. While he's doing that, I would like to point out a couple things.
Sure.
If feel like Austin Powers here. The house here in the front, originally, they wanted to put a deck and stuff out here, but I know from our previous meetings, you didn't want anything closer to the water.
Right.
So that's why we've kind of
Okay.
basically leveled off the whole front of the house. The patio area that exists there now is in disrepair. So, I mean, we're not gonna, whatever we propose, we're gonna be propose to do exactly the same or less.
Okay.
But more importantly, the waterfront edge, if the site itself, they used railroad ties, and somebody must have worked for the railroad, they cut them.
Yeah.
They placed them into the water, and then they put boards in there. Now, that's all eroded. The railroad ties are still in there, but the whole outer edge of the lakeside is washing in. So we're proposing to put something like a naturalized, big block kind of a stone wall system in there.
We had one, was it on Long Saltport Pond, that there was a woman where her blocks were falling into
I
the
was at the
water, and she
meeting,
got
and that's where
somebody
we kinda
to
got-
come in and put it, that he's putting in, large boulders, which will be very natural and won't move.
Exactly.
So-
So that's what we're proposing in the systems that will give you a more detailed plan. But that's gonna have that naturalized stone, like I said, and then the patios would be terraced up from there. Because we will wanna have some accessibility for her to be able to get outside into this area here, as well as to get down to, to the lake itself.
So is this hearing just for the demolition of the existing, and this is just provided for info, or is this actually the plan to go ahead and build, but in the spring?
Well, unless you have, we're gonna move forward with this plan for
So
the
this is the
building.
proposed plan, not just the concept.
Right, this is the plan, and the only thing that's missing from the whole scheme of things would be the landscape part of it. Because there is some extensive work, but because of the slope and the topography of this lot, we really need to take this lot, the house down, before we can do that work. There's no way to access it unless you come in from a
Very
helicopter
tight lot.
or a barge. That'd be the only way to do it. There's really no room on the side over here to get in there, and there's not much on this area, and then you could be falling off a cliff. So the only way to do it would be down, once we're down to this level, then we have access to get down there. We can broadcast down with those big boulders and that kind of situation.
Are there any trees coming down?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna, are those circular spots trees that are gonna be taken down?
Well,
Gray
we're
spots?
proposing to take some trees down here, but that will be part of the landscape. Whatever we take down, Moonkais are very agreeable to plant new ones, even semi-mature.
These are really big trees, some of these.
Yeah, they're mostly pines, and a lot of them are hanging. The root systems right now, because of the erosion, you did a site visit, you'd see that a lot of it is, hanging off the edge.
And the back bank is really steep down to the water?
It
in
is.
that one corner?
It is.
So aren't the roots in the trees, especially those ones in that corner up there, aren't they kind of holding the bank in place?
They are and they aren't. A lot of them are being undermined right now because of the erosion. That wall system, that's why we have to get a wall system on the very edge. Because the more boat activity that comes by, it keeps washing out. If you go in there, you can see all the rock and rubble and gravel that was behind there is now actually lake.
At least enumerate the types and size of the trees that are planning to be cut?
Well, I think, and I think.
That's what I'm saying.
You're kind of asking, it would be nice to have indicated on the plan which trees are coming out and which trees are staying.
I think the darker
This-
circles are the ones cut.
This whole embankment here, that I'm gonna call it the hilly part of the lake, hilly part of the lot, rather. If, whatever gets done with the retaining wall there, it's gonna be terraced up and there'll be plantings all the way through this thing. This is gonna have a root system that's as good as, if not better than what's there now.
So the trees, it looks like there's a tree or trees that's part of where the new building will be, here up in the front right corner.
This, over
Right
here.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
So, yeah, it just is, there are a lot of trees shown and it's not clearly indicated which ones are being removed and which ones are staying.
All of them
What's
will
being
be
replaced?
indicated on, when we do that full landscape plan, because I'm actually
Well-
working with an environmental landscape architect
Can you
to develop this.
enumerate the number, the size, and the type of trees that are coming down?
Yep. We could definitely do that.
Yeah. So we'll see two plans. We're gonna see the plan of the current conditions of all the trees listed, and then you're gonna show us the new plan with all the new landscaping. And, on that old plan, you just mark the trees that you wanna take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to go back to your question, Peter, about, I should clarify, the distance for the existing, you were right, is 19.6 feet.
Yeah.
That's to a jog in the back of the house. I don't know if I've got a steady enough hand. Which button do I push?
Orange one in
The
the
orange
middle.
one.
The orange one?
He's not used
I
to
should
being
have
Austin
known that.
Powers.
Right in here is the jog. That's the back corner. So the new house, the rear of it is going to be further from the lake. It's going to be 23 feet,
Okay.
not the 19.6.
Yeah.
But there will be a deck, so technically, for zoning purposes, the deck will be 19.7. So effectively, the deck won't be any closer than the
there's
house
still that-
itself today.
Do we count the retaining wall as the closest?
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
so
retaining
it's just
wall
the
will be
structure.
closer.
Structure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But the
ju-
house
just make sure
itself,
everything's-
23
All these
feet.
distances you got on both plans, so we can see them, so, that's fine. Okay.
My one other question, Jeff, just for you, was the wetland on the other side of Endmoor taken into account for the buffer zone?
Yeah, we didn't think that buffer zone encroached.
Okay,
any
that
closer.
that
I
was
mean,
just-
this whole lot's in the buffer zone, so.
Right, I understand. I just don't want to show the 100 if it's, if the other 80, if that's the other 80.
Right.
That was my only point, but I appreciate your thought on it.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the audience in this application? So, do you want this in 2 weeks? I mean, you're gonna have revised plans, you wanna put it out longer?
I would say probably the one after that, because I'm
One after that?
going to be working with the landscape architect. and
Okay.
Something like
So
that.
the first meeting in November?
November 10th.
November 10th.
The only one we have, that's
Yeah, we just have one.
right.
Motion to continue this to our November 10th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to our 8:15, which is a public hearing for Edison, 7 Phillips Drive. This is a request for determination.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, at 8:15 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, on the request for determination of applicability application of Matthew Edison for abandonment of the existing failed septic system and installation of a replacement sewage disposal system and associated grading within 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland at 7 Phillips Drive.
Good evening. Jeff Hannaford, representing the applicant, who is also here, Matthew Edison of 7 Phillips Drive. The situation here is there's a failed septic system. It's not for the sale of the house. It's strictly a failure. So we went out and did soil testing in 3 different areas in the rear yard. This dwelling serviced by a well. The well's in the front yard. If you're familiar with Phillips Drive, it comes in off of Route 225, and as it comes in, it bears to the left, comes up and makes a circle. So this is right on the corner of that beginning of the circle. The wetlands is down gradient to the rear, pretty much all off the site. The existing system is, it may be a little difficult to see, but it is basically in the same place as where we're proposing it, which is kind of straddling the 100-foot buffer zone. Based on the soil testing, the water table that was encountered, we were limited to an elevation for the leach field in order to maintain our water table offset. When we compared that to the building sewer coming out from the dwelling, this is a walkout basement in the rear, so the pipe itself comes out below the basement floor. So unfortunately, there's no ability to change the plumbing to raise that pipe up, so we're stuck having to work from that elevation. Based on that, the reason we chose the location where we are is because that was the only place we could put it and still have a gravity-fed system as opposed to a pump system. If we slide it up towards the house, we're coming up gradient with the water table, and there was also refusal or ledge encountered in the test holes. So as we come up gradient, we have to raise the system accordingly. And that, any higher would put us into a situation where we would have to pump. With that, we wanted to introduce an innovative alternative type leach field. We are within 100 feet. We're at 90 feet at the closest corner. But based on the water tables we found, the existing system, which has been in place since approximately 1972, is in the water table, at least in the springtime. It has been for almost 50 years. So with this one, it'll be up out of the water table and will provide much better enhanced treatment. And with that, the owner, since he has to go through this exercise, the rear yard right now is sloping. It varies anywhere from 11 to 20% slope in the back. He does experience some erosion that he's had to deal with, particularly in the area of the 20%. As you can see, there's a large tree to the right of the system. That's a 24-inch maple. That's going to remain, as well as the other one down slope of the system. But over towards that area, it is steep, and what he would like to do, since we have to raise the system to get it above the water table, we do have to fill in that area because we are higher than the existing system. So what he asked us to do was to come up with a game plan where right now, as you can see over here on this plan, I've highlighted in green the existing edge of his lawn. What he'd like to do is kind of pull that back. Since we have to fill for the septic system, it would actually give him a little more usable rear yard, but it creates a slope where we show the contours 92 through 97.
Can you use the pointer and show us on the big
Sure.
map? That would be easier for me to see.
Where is it? There it is. Okay. So this will be the new slope. Out here towards the erosion control, you see the words there, edge of lawn.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of follow that. It pretty much follows that tree line all the way around. It comes up here, it says edge of lawn again here. So what he would do is, in order to gain a better usable rear yard in this area, where right now it's that 11 to 20% slope, he'd like to take the edge of lawn and bring it all the way back to that first proposed grade of 97. That would be the top of the slope. From there, he'd like to mulch and plant with some native ground cover to mitigate the erosion. He'd end up losing about 1,700 square feet of lawn, but he's trading that for a more usable area closer to the house.
So that would become naturalized and not really maintained?
Right.
Right.
No mowing, no fertilizing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
That's fine.
I had a question about, so that maple tree in the back there, if you bring the grade up, that's gonna affect that tree, right?
No, we'll be matching existing grade before we get to that.
Okay.
Yep, to
All right.
protect it. Yeah, it's a 24-inch maple also, so
Oak.
they want it. Oh, that one's an
No.
oak.
Oak. They're both oaks.
Oh. I'll have to talk to my surveyor.
There's a maple right next to the oak, but
Oh.
those two are oaks.
So the big ones are oaks.
Big ones are oaks.
Okay.
You know from raking the leaves
And the acorns.
and the acorns.
My only
On the ground.
comment was either for the plantings, I know we've had success, especially down at 3 Cold Spring lately, with the pollinator kind of renaturalization, that pollinator seed, the wildflower seed mix. Could be another alternative for, then it's just spread it, make sure it establishes, and you're not planting ground covers every couple half feet to get it to establish. But that could be a condition of approval
That's a great
if the
idea.
commission is.
You're gonna do this, you probably wanna do this right away, right?
Yeah, my thought was if you're amenable to this, that he could work out a final planting plan on whatever may be available this time of year with Matt. If there's any issues with not getting what he needs in time while they're replacing the system and constructing this, then I would ask that it be conditioned with the fact that he will cover that area, whatever isn't planted, with a jute mesh
Yeah,
to
right.
protect
Get it
erosion.
through the winter, okay.
And then do this, if it turns out to be a pollinator mix and it's too late to do it, you can do a jute mesh and then seed it in the spring.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that all makes sense. Yep.
I like that idea better, actually. Need more butterflies.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, otherwise we good with this?
Yep.
Fairly maximum feasible. We good? Any comments from the audience on this application? Okay, so can I have a motion to do a conditional negative, and they're gonna get us a planning plan from that to approve at some point?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our 8:25, which is a continuation of a public hearing, issue order conditions for Adam, 32R, Lot 2, Providence Road.
Thank you. Good evening, Mark Slager from Allen Engineering, here on behalf of Ray Adams. We went through the plan at the last meeting, and I've received a copy of the draft order of conditions. Everything seems fine. I don't have any questions or comments on that or any concerns, so I'll hand it right over to the board, see what they'd like to do.
Okay, you guys good with this?
Yep.
Okay, motion to approve the order conditions.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. And motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, request for certificate of compliance, Bentley Building Co-op.
Yeah. So the developer reached out with a certificate of compliance, requesting a certificate of compliance a couple weeks ago. We have received an as-built plan from the engineers with the total area of disturbance, which falls below the quantity for a requiring a stormwater management permit through the planning board. All the other conditions, special conditions, were satisfactorily completed, and I recommend the commission issues the order of certificate of compliance for 334-1738, currently 75 Wool Road.
Okay, so we've had a really wet summer, so everything held up okay coming off that hill?
It's amazing with the amount of rain we've had, yeah, it held up fine.
Yeah, right.
It's a tale of two, last summer was so dry and this summer was so wet, so I'm glad we built it last year.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right, motion to approve the condition.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You good to go? Thanks, Mike. Okay, Bill's here for the bicycle rack. Bill, come on up for the bicycle rack, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yep, we're good.
Yes.
I got the note from Don. Don Gaylor was supposed to be here, but he wasn't feeling well.
True.
Yeah.
Well, the town is installing bicycle racks in places like conservation land, schools, and so the issue here tonight is what about certain conservation land areas that attract a lot of people. There's three particular ones in mind. East Boston Camps at the main entrance, Grassy Pond at that main entrance, and Trailside, which is a very nice off-road parking area. So I guess the question is, would that be okay?
I like the idea.
Yeah, it's a
wouldn't
great
have any
idea.
trouble.
I
I
mean,
wouldn't have any
where they're
trouble.
gonna be sited will determine later, right, Bill, when you get,
Yes,
when you get
yes.
your funds for it?
Yes, that's right. The funding will come later if you approve of that.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, motion to approve.
From the pictures of the three alternative designs, all of them are anchored in the ground, none of them are removable?
No, I think the upper left is
This one.
just sitting there. That's my understanding. The others are anchored.
Okay,
I'd
I'd
rather
recommend
it wasn't.
avoiding anything that's not anchored down.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
But
Make it-
if those legs can be put in concrete, that'd be fine too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something that nobody can move.
Right.
Right.
You seem to have experience in
Yes, we do,
Well,
yeah.
we look at
Especially at
what's,
the ABC.
we look at how things have been damaged and stuff like that. There was the bench that, was it Amy Gust's, the bench for Amy Gust's husband, somebody had taken, something to it and damaged it, so.
And one of the old, the guy who has his name and the horse on a bench, that one got broken too.
Yeah.
The tree fell on it, though.
Oh, is that what it was? It was a tree? Oh.
one that's being here.
So it's fine
But
as long
anyway,
as.
indestructible and bike racks are great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
It works?
thank you.
Okay, sorry you had to wait so
we
long.
approved it, right?
Yes.
Good, we're good to go.
There's still one other request for a certificate of compliance.
Yeah, I wondered
Yes,
about that.
For 16 Farmers Row, 1766, the commission approved this, or issued this order of conditions a couple months ago now. This is the unit within Summer Village. They were looking to put in a French drain along the front of their property and do some pervious patio hardscaping to create a patio area. They've completed it. Everything looked good. Sierra went out, I think, last week, week before, and everything looks to be in tip-top shape. The infiltration, or the kind of stormwater swale to the north of the unit is still functioning and intact, and hopefully...
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Looked very good. Recommend the commission issue.
Okay, motion to approve strict compliance for Murphy, 16 Front Hills Road.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the last thing is issue an emergency certificate for...
We're gonna continue.
We're gonna wait on that?
Yeah, we'll wait on that, because that, I mistakenly thought something was happening.
Is that the beaver thing?
Out on Gage Road.
Yeah, not
Don't you have minutes?
Oh, on Gage Road?
Yes, we have minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, near there, you mean?
Yeah,
It's
between
on-
Gage and
Okay.
Chelmsford.
Okay, and we have the minutes from August 25th.
I have no
Corrections, changes, additions?
Nothing.
All good?
Yep.
Motion to approve the minutes from August 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I love it when it's like that.
Site visits, schedule site visits, nothing else on those.
Nothing else.
Nothing else.
We may though, you know, just so you know, on Endmoor, we may want to go out there and look at that. because
That's what.
The
like
two
so
houses down,
compact.
Dave Guthrie built a similar type of arrangement, and we went out there because you need to go out and see it, because it's really steep.
I'm gonna
on
go
it.
out
It's
on
not
my-
only,
And-
it's
and
not
it's-
only steep, it's like so compact.
Well, and it's, you know, and thinking about if they're gonna do all that work from the up slope side, it's kinda like, okay. You know, that sounds like
That's probably a really good suggestion.
yes.
I can certainly reach out to the,
I want to see the plan, we need the plan.
we need
Yeah.
plans
We need the
then,
plans
okay,
done
so we're
first, though.
not scheduling
The other
anything
ones
just
did you-
yet.
No.
I
Well,
can-
and actually, yeah, because what we'd want is, we'd want the plan, we'd also wanna identify key locations that we want staked in the field before we go out.
Yep, okay, that's,
I drove past today, but you can't see much beyond it.
The house is in the way?
And just the whole.
We need to get out in kayaks and on paddleboards like Noel.
Yeah.
And see it from
I'll
the
take-
water.
I'll take some pictures for my paddleboard this weekend.
Okay.
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 Good.
If I miss any,
Good.
you notice.
Close.
let me know.
Yeah.
I will.
Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll interrupt you and you'll give me the
Yeah.
time.
Oh, my God. This whole one?
Was that an adjournment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
That's right, you said
Sorry.
public hearing.
It was supposed to be motion to close the public meeting, not the public hearing.